Imagine for a moment you wanted to leave a message for the future. Something, I don't know, small, almost invisible maybe yet, utterly permanent. Not carved into some ancient stone, not locked away in a vault somewhere, but actually etched into a system that, well, billions of people use every single day, often without even realizing its true depth. That system, my friends, is the Bitcoin blockchain. Now, for most people, Bitcoin is just numbers, right? It's charts, it's price swings, it's, transactions flying around. But underneath all that financial stuff, there's something else, something more, poetic, almost hidden. So this deep dive, it isn't really about market caps or whether you should buy or sell. Instead, we're going to uncover how the blockchain kind of functions as this incredible digital time capsule. We'll explore the, frankly, ingenious and sometimes surprising ways that coders, maybe pranksters, even activists have been slipping these secret messages into the ledger for years now. And more importantly, what do these little digital whispers actually mean? For history, for memory, and, well, for us today, the audacity is kind of captivating.
It really is. What's fascinating, I think, is how this technology, which was so carefully engineered for, secure, decentralized finance, how it also, almost by accident, offers this incredibly robust, permanent canvas for, well, human expression, deeply human stuff. It's this amazing intersection of pure logic and profoundly personal, and it kind of hints at something broader about any complex system we build, right? It's not just shaped by what we intend it to do. It's also shaped by that human impulse to leave a mark, communicate, exist beyond just right now.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And to really get this hidden world, we need to look past the price for a second. Understand a really fundamental piece of Bitcoin's architecture. See, every single block added to the chain, it doesn't just hold financial transaction data. Crucially, it also carries a timestamp, a cryptographically secured marker of a very specific moment in history. And this isn't just like, writing down the date. It's integral to the block's identity, part of its hash. You can't change it. And that foundation is exactly what allows these secret messages to even exist. It's the digital bedrock for all this decentralized graffiti.
Precisely. And the real power here is that permanence, the unerasable nature of it. Think of it less like a regular database that gets updated and more like a huge global monument, like a stone wall made of crypto hashes that just cannot be torn down or painted over once a block is confirmed. So people aren't just sending Bitcoin. They're literally carving data onto this wall, not with paint, but with, carefully put together code. These aren't temporary little notes. They are etched there forever. And for anyone interested in the mechanics, it's quite clever. Often messages get put inside what's called an Operreturn output.
Okay, Operreturn.
Yeah, it's a specific type of transaction output that basically lets you attach up to 80 bytes of just arbitrary data. Yeah. You essentially burn a tiny bit of Bitcoin to make that message stick permanently.
Okay. So you pay a little to make it last forever.
Exactly. And there are other, maybe more complex ways, too, using transaction IDs or even the witness data that came with SegWit. But the amazing part is, if you know where to look and how to decode these fields, these messages are all still there, perfectly discoverable years, decades later. They don't fade, they don't vanish, they just are.
Wow. And speaking of messages, there's one that really stands out, the most famous one, the iconic one.
Yeah.
Because it is the first one. We're talking about the message from Satoshi Nakamoto, Bitcoin's mysterious creator, embedded right in the Genesis block, the absolute first block ever. January 3rd, 2009. It's more than just a little Easter egg, isn't it? It feels like a statement. And the exact message, frozen there forever, reads, "The Times, 03 Jan 2009 Chancellor, on brink of second bailout for banks." I mean, that's incredibly specific, very pointed.
Oh, absolutely. It's far more than just a timestamp or some random news headline. It was a protest. It was a clue. It was a really clear statement about why Bitcoin was even created. Bitcoin was born right out of the chaos of the 2008 financial crisis. So by embedding that specific headline, Satoshi wasn't just marking time. They were signaling the whole motivation behind this new kind of digital money. A direct response, really, to the failures of the traditional banking system, to central bank actions.
Right. The bailouts mentioned right in the message.
Exactly. And what's technically significant here, especially for this Genesis block, is that it's Coinbase transaction that's the first transaction in any block, the one that creates new Bitcoin. It has this message directly inside its script sig field.
Inside the code itself?
Kind of, yeah. It wasn't just added to a regular transaction later. It was basically hard-coded into the Bitcoin software's definition of that first block, making it this unchangeable foundational piece of the whole protocol right from the start. It's a powerful opening line, almost defiant, you could say, for this whole new idea.
And what's really amazing is how that tradition, that idea, it didn't just stop with Satoshi. That first act of putting a message in,
it sparked something. It carried on. It evolved. The blockchain became this kind of incredible public canvas for all sorts of expression. It's like once that door was open, people just couldn't resist leaving their own little mark. And what started as, a political jab, it bloomed into something way more diverse.
Indeed it did. As the network grew and developers figured out more ways to embed data, the methods get, more sophisticated, and the messages became much more varied. Initially, some folks tried using the script sig or script pub key fields like Satoshi did, but there were limits, size constraints. Then came Operreturn, which was a bit of a game changer.
Never mentioned that.
Yeah, because it created a standard way, one that was kind of officially okay-ish, to embed small bits of data without messing up the main transaction tracking system, the UTXO set. So that gave people a sort of dedicated digital notepad within the blocks.
And with these new methods, the creativity just exploded. You find everything now. Simple things like hopeful greetings, hello future, hope you're doing well, to more direct political statements, maybe about current events or protesting censorship, kind of echoing Satoshi. There are really heartfelt memorials for loved ones, ensuring their memory lives on immutably, way beyond like a headstone.
That's quite poignant.
Yeah. And then there are inside jokes, things that only make sense if you were like part of some online group back in 2013 or something. But it gets even more inventive than that. As time went on, people got really creative. Seriously. You start seeing entire song lyrics embedded piece by piece into the chain, or using it for something incredibly personal, like a marriage proposal. Can you imagine? Proposing with a transaction that literally lasts forever.
That's commitment on a whole new level.
Right. But maybe the most visually interesting stuff is the digital art. We're talking tiny pixelated images, not just links somewhere else, but the data stored right there inside the blockchain itself.
How do they even manage that with the data limit?
Well, some artists get clever, using things like steganography, breaking an image into tiny hexadecimal chunks, and embedding those chunks across lots of different transaction outputs.
Okay, so it needs reassembling.
Exactly. Knowing the chain will preserve all the pieces, ready for someone to put them back together. Think about the rare Pepe memes that got big on Bitcoin's blockchain way back. That was a kind of digital collectible, long before NFTs were really a thing.
Right, the counterparty protocol allowed for things like that.
Yeah. Or there's the Blockstream satellite project. It doesn't just broadcast Bitcoin data. It also lets people pay to embed messages that can then be picked up via satellite. Another layer to this whole digital legacy idea. Imagine that. A tiny art gallery and a global message board, all hidden inside what most people think is just digital money.
It really does speak to a deep, maybe even primal human need, doesn't it? That urge to leave a mark, to communicate beyond just our own time. And the reason these messages carry such weight, such significance, is because the blockchain truly doesn't forget. It is meticulously designed for permanence, for immutability. Right.
Unchangeable.
Exactly. When you embed a message, it's not just stored somewhere temporarily, it is immortalized. As long as Bitcoin's network keeps running, all those computers around the world, as long as new blocks get mined and the chain grows longer, those words, those images, those proposals, they exist. They are immutable, copied everywhere, and resistant to censorship. That unyielding permanence is precisely what gives these seemingly small messages such potential historical importance. Let me try and paint a picture for you. Imagine someone, say, 200 years from now, maybe a future historian, or just a curious digital archaeologist, and they're carefully scrolling through what to them are ancient Bitcoin blocks. They wouldn't just see numbers moving around, addresses sending value. They'd stumble across these messages, a hopeful note, a political cry, a tiny piece of pixel art. And suddenly they'd be getting this direct snapshot of human thought, of humor, maybe rebellion right from our time.
Wow, like digital cave drawings.
Exactly like that. Digital glyphs from our own era aimed at a distant future. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What parts of our culture, our daily thoughts, our fleeting moments, what are we inadvertently preserving for maybe millennia? Just by adding these little digital inscriptions.
Now, okay, with anything like this, there's always the other side, the practical view. And it's totally valid. You get critics arguing, look, this is just a waste of space, a complete waste. After all, Bitcoin wasn't built for poetry slams or art galleries or wedding proposals. Its core job is secure, decentralized, verifiable money transfer, period.
The efficiency argument.
Right. From that perspective, every single byte of data on the blockchain has a cost. Not just the transaction fee the sender pays, but also storage for everyone running a node, bandwidth to share it, processing power.
Yeah.
So why, they ask, should this robust financial system be cluttered up with non-essential, purely expressive stuff? For people focused just on scaling, on technical purity, these messages can look like, well, digital junk.
And that's exactly where it gets really interesting, I think, because it highlights something fundamental about us. While the critics have a perfectly reasonable technical point about network load and efficiency, maybe that's precisely what makes this whole phenomenon so fascinating, so inherently human. It feels like a fundamental part of our nature, almost irresistible, that we just can't help but leave traces of ourselves in the systems we build, even if those systems have a very specific, often very utilitarian purpose.
Like we can't resist personalizing things?
Think about it. Ancient peoples build these massive pyramids for burial, for ritual, and what's the first thing they do? Carve incredibly detailed stories and symbols all over them. We plant trees, and then someone carves their initials in the bark.
Yeah, true.
And now we have these incredibly logical, rigid digital ledgers, and instinctively we feel compelled to sneak little whispers into them, to leave that personal mark. It's that urge. I was here. It's almost primal. You can just picture the early Bitcoin hardcore tech folks rolling their eyes when they saw people jamming song lyrics into transactions.
Probably.
But if you step back, it just shows how human ingenuity, that desire for expression, it always finds an outlet, even inside the strictest, most logical digital boxes we create. It turns a financial tool into this completely unexpected cultural archive.
So maybe the next time you hear about Bitcoin's price doing crazy things or the latest market news, just remember this other layer. Beyond the charts, beyond the volatility, there's this hidden library, a huge, decentralized archive of thoughts, jokes, protests, personal moments, even tiny bits of art. It's all there, meticulously etched into a system that was meant for something totally different. Yet it serves as this unintended, unerasable canvas for human creativity. It's kind of a testament, isn't it? Wherever humans build, they will also inevitably write.
It truly is. It's a time capsule we are all collectively building together, one cryptographically secured block at a time. Every message, whether it's a serious protest or just a playful hello, it adds another tiny layer to this digital record of now, waiting to be found by people in the future. These aren't just data points floating in the ether. They're actual fragments of our collective story, preserved with a kind of permanence that's really hard to achieve in the physical world anymore.
So what does all this mean for you, listening right now? If you had that chance, that unprecedented opportunity to etch your message into this digital stone wall, knowing it could potentially be read generations from now, centuries maybe, knowing it would be totally immutable, globally there for as long as Bitcoin itself lasts, what would your message say? What piece of your voice, your ideas, your hopes, what would you want the chain to carry forward into the future?
Yeah.
So it's something pretty profound to think about, isn't it?
Right.